We can't build a house in 2 weeks. Also, I'm not so sure how solid as a rock helps people forget the fact that we built houses in Iraq.
I love
but
that.
You probably know best because
We don't have to build a real house, Michael. Like you said, it's all for appearances anyway. We throw up a couple of walls, we build a fake one.
About
Nothing on the inside.
Nothing on the inside. Is Mark Carney getting his ideas from Joe Bluth? He must be. It's the only explanation as to why Mark Carney thought it would be a good idea to stage a construction site as part of his Build Canada Homes announcement. This is truly absurd. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Johnny Says So. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel on your way in. So, I want to get right into this very strange story, and it has to do with Mark Carney being caught in yet another lie. So have you guys ever heard of a Potemkin village? Well, I'm so glad Barbara Ball used this language when describing Mark Carney's latest ridiculous stunt. Prime Minister Carney made a housing announcement in front of a literal Potemkin village, a term from 18th century Russia where Grigory Potemkin allegedly erected fake villages to impress Empress Catherine II. The Liberals built fake housing to fool Canadians. This is truly wild, guys. Let's take a look.
I am at the location of Prime Minister Carney's housing announcement a few days ago, and there is nothing here. So all those buildings were brought in just for the photo op.
Just for the photo op. So you can see there that indeed Mark Carney made this announcement at the very same location that Barbara Ball visited just a few days later, and she found it completely empty. So why did Carney have to do this exactly? Well, he's trying desperately to convince you that his government is actually moving on the housing crisis. So let's check out what Mark Carney had to say in front of his literal facade.
And so today, Minister of Housing and I are proud to launch Build Canada Homes, a new federal entity that will supercharge housing construction across Canada. Build Canada Homes will do several things. It will help fight homelessness by building transitional and supportive housing in close partnership with provinces, territories, municipalities, and Indigenous communities.
Okay, so right off the bat, that's very telling that this is his first point. This is the big thing he's trying to sell. Number one on the list, transitional housing for the homeless crisis that the last 10 years of Liberal government has created. That's great. Not a good start.
Secondly, it will expand deeply affordable and community housing for low-income households. Third, Build Canada Homes will partner with private sector developers to build affordable homes for the Canadian middle class. And finally, Build Canada Homes, in doing all of that, will catalyze the creation of an entirely new Canadian housing industry that uses modern methods of construction to boost productivity sustainably and at scale.
So Carney is promising that the government is going to partner with private sector developers that specialize in modular and sustainable housing. If that sounds familiar, it's because it is. Liberal promises just keep happening to intersect with Carney's business interests. He's promised heat pumps and prefabricated homes, both of which he owns a major stake in. So this is just classic conflict of interest Carney. Now, the article goes on to explain these conflicts of interests. Now, this part's really interesting. Until he quit to run for the Liberal leadership, Carney was chair of Brookfield Asset Management, one of the world's largest investment firms. In 2021, the firm spent $5 billion to acquire Modular Group, a major manufacturer of modular buildings. While the company currently operates in Europe, Australia, and New Zealand, Modular's website notes that they are specialists in the realm of rapid urbanization. Sounds sort of like what he's planning to unleash in Canada. Now this part's very interesting. In 2023, Brookfield spent $5 billion US to acquire HomeServe, a British home repair multinational that has leaned hard into heat pump refurbishments. Carney's links to HomeServe have gotten him into trouble as recently as October, when Britain's The Telegraph reported that Carney had been actively lobbying the British government to increase heat pump subsidies on Brookfield's behalf. So Mark Carney stands to gain from all of this, guys. Now here's another interesting article from the Fraser Institute. Carney's housing plan will likely spend a lot for very little. The Carney government recently released its plan for a new federal housing entity called Build Canada Homes, Unfortunately, the plan is rife with conflicting priorities and major risks. Without course correction, Canadians could end up spending more while seeing no real progress on the housing crisis. PCH's core mandate is to cut the cost of home building, yet the plan would require BCH to favor Canadian-made and net zero or environmentally conscious products. These goals are at odds. If a product needs government preference to be used, it's not the most cost-effective option. BCH won't deliver affordable housing if it's shackled by competing mandates. Simply put, chasing unrealistic net zero targets and propping up domestic industries will drive up building costs. That's absolutely spot on. Not only is it going to drive up building costs, but it will actually limit the amount of developers that are even eligible to build homes under the program if they don't comply with Mark Carney's World Economic Forum-driven net zero mandates. And Pierre Poilievre really talks about this ridiculous layer of bureaucracy of Mark Carney's here in this clip.
The funny thing is we all agree that Canada has everything you need for affordable homes. In fact, housing should be dirt cheap because we have the most dirt to build on. We have the builders, we have the trades, we have the companies, they have the money. They'd love to get building. What's standing in the way is bureaucracy. And so Mark Carney's solution is to add another bureaucracy that will only slow things down. It took him 6 months to set up a new office, an office that has not built a single new home.
And finally, we have this one. So this one's interesting because notice the political cartoon there, guys, which literally foreshadowed Mark Carney's ridiculous, quite literal facade. But notice how the house there doesn't say Build Canada Homes. It says National Housing Strategy, because we've seen this one before. Carney's statist plan to fix the government-caused housing crisis. Our leaders need to realize that more socialism is not a cure for past socialist excesses. Nearly 6 months after promising to, quote, build twice as many homes every year, on Sunday, Prime Minister Mark Carney followed the path laid out by virtually every other left-leaning politician in the country by launching a new government bureaucracy intended to increase the stock of affordable, read socialized, housing throughout the country. You'll be forgiven if you've never heard this one before. Promising affordable housing is a favorite pastime of the federal Liberals, largely because of the impediments to building new homes fall outside of Ottawa's jurisdiction. It's far easier to spend gobs of taxpayer money and create giant new bureaucracies than to actually deal with the reasons why Canada's housing supply has failed to meet demand. So the article makes a very important distinction there when it points out that housing is a provincial problem and not a federal one. So when this program falls flat on its face, they can revert to the old line of blaming the provinces. Now, I would like to point out that this is just a repackaging of past Liberal strategies. And not only that, but they are actually repackaging projects that have already been approved. What we know about the new federal housing project in Shannon Park. Most details still sketchy, but affordable units and Canadian materials are key to strategy. So this is Shannon Park, guys. This is in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, and this is one of the sites that Mark Carney is trying to take credit for kickstarting housing projects on. Well, people who live around here know that this has been in the works for a very long time. This is from 2023, back when Mark Carney was still over in Europe doing his thing over there. Huge Shannon Park development, plans approved, will include 3,000 housing units. So this has been in the works for a very long time. Now, this is just one in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, but I have a feeling a lot of the sites on this list are in the same boat. So all in all, the fact that Mark Carney had to stage a construction site to make this housing announcement doesn't inspire much confidence in me, at least. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts. And as always, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Johnny from Nova Scotia says thank you. Hey, Johnny from Nouvelle-Écosse, il dit merci, thank you.
Thanks to you. God
Thank you
bless
so much.
you.
Perfect.
We're from Quebec.
Yeah, Quebec.